Hello folks, this is Solo speaking. You're listening to another video for Teamfight Tactics. This is taken from a double-up game that I played together with JDP El Grillo. By the way, some of these other teams that we were up against had the coordinated little legends, which is always fun to see, the double sprites on some of these other teams. This is taken from the very first day of Set 9 being out. It's going to be posted a little bit later than that to the YouTube, but we played this on the very first day of Set 9, so we're just getting our feet wet here, trying to explore some of the new content. And it's ended up being a really, really close and exciting match, so I wanted to go ahead and put it up on YouTube. We'll look at some of the new stuff here in Set 9. This, by the way, right here is one of the new things in Set 9, the portals at the start of the match. We're going to end up getting Petrosite Forest, which is all units are larger and have bonus health. So the units have slightly more health than normal, and I guess the character models are slightly bigger for what that's worth. This is, again, not one of the portals that has a huge effect on the game. I'm not exactly sure how much health they get, but I don't think it's that much. So I guess it like slightly favors certain traits. I guess it slightly favors bruisers because they get bonus health scaling. And I think it favors the trait that I'm going to play in this game, which is Shurima, because that is a trait that's based on getting additional regeneration based on your max HP total. All right, well, we'll get into that in a minute. So as I mentioned, this is the two-player mode. I continue to enjoy the two-player mode more than the standalone mode, although I'm sure I will do some games for the one-player mode as well. This is where I decided I would at least play a Shurima opener because there were 3 Renekton's in my store, and I was like, all right, well, that seems like a good opener to play here because I have Renekton 2-star. I also have an early Cassiopeia, and I also have an early Talia here, so I have the pieces for this. And then I also have a Teemo in here, so I have multicaster between the Talia and the Teemo. So I have at least a decent setup that can play me through the early game. And it was early enough in the set that I figured I'd just continue testing out some of these things. By the way, there's another Talia as well. So at this point, I was like, all right, I definitely have the pieces to play Shurima for my opener, and I'll go from there. So this is the desert trait, right? The units that are all associated with this fictitious desert realm in Runeterra. Just to give you the quick background on what this does, I'll talk more about it throughout the video, but Shurima is every 4 seconds, Shurima units heal 5% max health. After 8 seconds, some of the Shurima units ascend, they gain 30% max health and 45% attack speed. So as you get percentage of max health healing, and then when they ascend, they get, additional attack speed and additional max health. All right, so it's time for our first augment. I had picked Vladimir going into this, and it turns out that something was wrong here in double up mode because I'm supposed to get offered a Vladimir augment here at the start, but there is none. It just doesn't pop up at all. So I think this is a bug in the double up mode. And so instead, I'm just going to have, the 6 normal options. I end up taking this Unified Resistance. If there are 3 or more units in the same row, then your units in that row gain additional armor and magic resistance. It felt like a pretty good pick because I'm playing a bit of a bruiser setup here. And what do bruisers get? Well, bruisers get additional max health. So what does this augment do? Well, it gives them additional armor and magic resistance to pair with their base, that extra health that they're getting from their trait. So again, a pretty basic idea there. This has been the case in other past sets. If you have a trait that gives you health, then you want to try to get armor and magic resistance from other places. If you get armor and magic resistance from a trait, then you want to get health from other sources. So it has good synergy with what I'm running here. Now, unfortunately, I have forgotten to put that in place in this round. I have 2 units on the front line, 2 units on the back line, and that is not actually going to give me the benefit of the augment, unfortunately. I did also have a unit sent over by Grillo. He found an action on his in his initial shot, and so he just used his send to send it on over because that allows me to play Shurima if I want. By the way, can action finish this one off? And no, he's going to end up losing. So Darius with 2 HP, 2 out of 1,000 health, ends up surviving that one. Now, granted, I could have also played Shurima with Cassiopeia over Akshan, but Akshan is a 3-cost unit and Cassiopeia is a 1-cost unit. By the way, I have got an unusual start here. By the way, I have a 1-item start in this game. I just have a giant, a chain vest. I don't have any other items, so I actually did get more gold than usual. So I decided that I would go ahead and do the very aggressive double level on 2/2 to get the level 5. And that's just because it allows me to put in units that fit my board. I could put in that Teemo, who's going to put Multicaster in play for Talia, who's another 2-star unit. And it also allows me to have 3 units in the backline that are going to get extra armor and magic resistance. Now, that's still not the right place to be using this. I should probably try to have the armor and MR on my bruisers, which are my frontline units. But yeah, I will have to try to adjust my positioning as this goes on. So as mentioned, I'm running Shurima. Shurima causes, as I said, it gives the Shurima units percentage of max HP, health regen every 5 seconds. And then after 8 seconds, one of them will currently ascend. At Shurima 3, only one of your units gets the ascension bonus, where they will gain additional attack speed, and they will gain additional, what's the other thing? Additional health. Yeah, they gain additional max health and they gain additional attack speed. If you increase the ranks of Shurima, more of them gain that. At Shurima 5, all of the Shurima units ascend. And then at Shurima 7, they ascend just immediately at the start of combat instead of ascending after 8 seconds, which is a pretty big bonus, as you might imagine. Shurima 9 is, then they get like plus 100% on all the benefits, but that requires getting multiple spatulas, so is not likely to see. There's only 7 Shurima units in this set. So Shurima 9 is, as I said, it requires multiple emblems. Now, this is a craftable spatula item, so you can make it if you get spatulas, but it's still a little bit tricky to put together. One thing you might have also seen is I took out Teemo in favor of playing Vel'Koz. Now, that does make some sense to do because Vel'Koz is a 3-cost multicaster and Teemo is a 2-cost multicaster. But the problem there is Teemo also has the strategist trait, and the strategist is one of the traits that's on Azir. So it actually probably makes more sense to play Teemo on this board than Vel'Koz, just because if you're playing Teemo, then you're going to have a strategist trait in play for your Azir later on. So Teemo probably makes more sense. But as I said, it's still very early in the set, so still trying to figure this out. I definitely do not know all of the best ways to put a board together. All right, well, we're not doing so great here out of the gate. Grillo is playing a reroll composition. He's going to be trying to play a combination of Challenger and Ionia in this game, and he's going to be trying to reroll for some of the lower cost units. Specifically right now, he is trying to reroll for Irelia is the first unit he's looking for, but that means he needs to stay at lower levels, and so as a result, that means he's going to be a little bit underpowered here in the early game. He has 5 Aurelias so far, and he's going to be looking for that unit throughout the game, and I'm going to do my best to try to help him out, but I have not seen any Aurelias myself just yet. I went ahead and grabbed a rod there because Azir is going to want different items that build out of rods. He is ability, and Azir is kind of the primary unit that you build into in a Shurima team composition. He's a 4-cost unit. There is another Shurima 4-cost unit, that is Nasus, who is Shurima plus Juggernaut. So I will try to play towards him as well. But usually when playing Shurima, Azir is kind of the unit that you focus on more so, unless you are specifically going towards some kind of a Juggernaut composition, which I am not looking to do in this particular game. Action can also be a decent carry as well. Action has the Deadeye trait. He's Deadeye plus Shurima. And you can play through him as well, but you need to be looking to try to 3-star him or else he's going to fall off too much in the late game. As I said, I was just trying to test out some different Shurima options in this game and see how that would go. So I had a chance to look at the data after this game was played. By the way, I am hitting some units here. I did manage to hit the 2-star Cho, 2-star Renekton. I'm just missing items, which is kind of weird. In any case, though, I did have a chance to look at some of the data after this game was played. And it turns out that Shurima is, it's like playable, but it's not especially strong. I'd say it's pretty middling as far as overall traits go. The average placement for going into Shurima was probably somewhere around 4.5, which is very average. 4.5 is like completely middle of the road. So it's not bad per se, but it's probably not something you should be going out of your way to force. There are definitely stronger team compositions, at least in this release version. I'm sure at some point it'll get buffed into overpowered status, but at least in this release version of Set 9, it is not especially overtuned. From what I can see, this is a trait that gets much stronger if you can find a spatula item for it, an emblem, or make it with a spatula, just because it makes it much easier to play Shurima 7, which is a big buff. It means all of your Shurima units are going to ascend immediately at the start of the fight, get that extra attack speed, and get that extra health. And it also means that you can turn one additional unit into a Shurima unit. If you don't have a spatula item, in order to play Shurima 7, you need to have all 7 of the units, and that includes finding Cassante, who's a legendary unit, which is tough to do. But if you, if you find the spatula item, then you can dump Cassiopeia, who's a 1-cost unit, and there's a whole bunch of other units that make very good use of a Shurima emblem. Good candidates include Jarvan because he has the strategist tag, so he pairs well with Azir. You can also look to pair it on someone like Shen because he has the Bastion trait and the Invoker trait, which pairs with Cassiopeia if you keep her around. Or probably the single best one is if you're able to find an Aatrox. Aatrox is a Juggernaut unit, or does he have Juggernaut unit? Yeah, Aatrox has the Juggernaut trait, and giving him additional max health and additional healing on top of his innate healing, it turns into kind of a monster. So if you can have like 7 Shurima with Shurima Aatrox pairing with Nasus, it's pretty nasty if you can put that together. So anyway, just to say that, this is a trait. This is one of those traits that gets much better if you can find an emblem for it, but it's a little bit tricky to do that. All right, anyway, so we got through the minion round. I was able to find, I got a couple of swords there, which wasn't exactly what I was looking for, but I did have the sword plus the belt, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and make a Zeke's here. We are actually in somewhat of a Zeke's meta at the moment. Zeke's is a very popular item in the current metagame. Even though it's only at the very beginning of this set, Zeke's is a super popular item. And I was like, you know what, it's not bad in this team composition either, because Azir wants attack speed and Action wants attack speed, so it's certainly not bad. So I just go ahead and make the Zeke's here. You could say that I could do better things with this, but by the same token, I didn't really need more swords. I already had one sword that I turned into a Gunblade. Didn't really need a second sword per se. And even though a belt would not have been bad, Warmogs is actually quite good on in Shurima team comps, just because getting more health means that the units heal for more max HP every 5 seconds. I decided that I would go ahead and make use of the items I had because I was reasonably pleased with them. So anyway, I also went ahead and leveled to 6 at the last second here. Oh, we have another augment. So I was trying to pick between these. By the way, the Vladimir augment is apparently working on the second and third augments, but wasn't working on the first one. I went ahead and took on a roll. Whenever you start up a champion, gain a free shop refresh. The word was this was very strong on the PvE. That's what all the conversation was. But now that the set's actually out and we have data, this is actually not performing very well at all. It's like a 4.75 in the data that I saw for average placement, which is pretty terrible. So I took this, and I actually don't think it was a very good fit for my team. This is a much better augment to take if you are re-rolling, which I was not doing here. I think I would have done better to take a different option. But again, first day of the set, we're trying to figure this stuff out. Definitely something that I would probably pick a different option, though, if I were to play this game again. Now that after this game has been played, I've had a chance to play some more games of Teamfight Tactics in this set. Anyway, so I went ahead and tossed in Ashe. Ashe is a unit that's going to give me the Deadeye trait for action. It's going to cause him to do a little bit of extra damage. It's early in the set. Let me just read the official trait description here for Deadeye. Deadeye innate +1 range. Every 3 seconds, Deadeyes attack the enemy with the highest percentage health and deal bonus damage. So you will see the Deadeye units periodically just shoot out an additional attack that hits the unit with the highest percentage health. So it doesn't finish off low health targets, but it does deal additional damage to high health targets, which is kind of interesting. Deadeye 2 doesn't really do that much, but if you can hit Deadeye 4, then it becomes a little bit more formidable right there. Ashe is also a useful unit because she has the Freljord trait, and I am going to be looking to move into Sejuani later on, who is the 4-cost bruiser, and she also has Freljord trait. So if I'm going to be playing Renekton, I might as well play into Sejuani long term. One other thing I thought that I could have done in this game is I could have just picked up additional Renektons. I think I've seen several additional Renektons in the store. Might have had a chance to 3-star Renekton. Now, 3-star Renekton is not exactly going to be like a core of this team composition, but it certainly wouldn't hurt. We might as well make the attempt to do so. And playing into trying to 3-star some of your cheaper units is actually kind of an important concept in the way that double up mode works right now. So this is specific to the 2-player mode, but there have been some changes made. They're actually made back in set 8.5, but most of us were skipping 8.5 because it was not a very interesting set, let's be honest. But they basically changed how the sends in double up mode work, the ability to send units over to the other board. That's the little thing that looks like a helmet on my bench right now. It's like a blue helmet type thingy that I have over there. This is how you get the option to send something to your partner. Well, they've changed it so you can no longer send items to your partner at all. Basically, people were abusing this by loading up one of the 2 teammates with tons of items so that they would have like two players worth of items, while the other person would just build a tank team composition and then just wait and stall for their partner to get there. This was called funneling. It was very unhealthy for the gameplay. So they did away with the ability to send items to your partner outside of the gift rounds. We're about to have a gift round right here. By the way, I'm going to take a Sejuani here because the bow I can definitely make something else useful. I'd love to make either a Static Shiv or a Rage Blade for Azir, and just having Sejuani is going to be good in and of itself too. But anyway, to go back to my point about the send, so you can no longer send items over to your teammate with the send. You can only send champions. And the way it works now is you get a send and it recharges after X number of stages. So like right now I could send an Aurelia over to Grillo, and if I do that, I will get the send back in, I think it's 5 rounds. It's either 4 or 5 rounds. Then when stage 4 begins, it'll upgrade to the stronger version of the send, which the initial version you can only send 1, 2, and 3 cost units. The upgraded version can send 4 and 5 cost units. And then it takes, I believe, 7 rounds before it recharges. So it's actually a long time before it recharges after that. So you do want to be careful about how you use the sends. In particular, we were trying to wait until I had a 2-star Aurelia to send, but maybe I should have just sent one of the Aurelias sooner because, well, it probably did make sense to wait here because Grillo had 6 Aurelias and I had 2 more. So I just needed to hit 1 more. And then he would have Aurelia 3-star. So we're just waiting on that to happen. But we did have this send here that was just kind of chilling on my bench, not doing anything. And I don't think that was necessarily the best way to make use of it. But you definitely want to be getting value out of that, even if it's just sending something that's not critical, because the cooldown won't start charging until you actually use it. Anyway, so when I had the gift round, I asked Grillo for a component anvil. I was hoping to get either a rod or a tier. I could make either Rage Blade or a Static Shiv. Now, I did not get either one of those, so I just ended up taking a belt to make my front line a little bit tankier. And Grillo has gone ahead and taken the Tome of Trades. I believe he's hoping to pull Challenger here because he kind of has a Challenger team composition. As I said, he's kind of re-rolling for Challengers. I believe he was hoping to pull that, but I don't think that's what he ended up getting. I'm afraid I don't remember specifically what he ended up taking here, but I'm pretty sure he did not actually end up getting Challenger, which would have been helpful for his team composition. I think he ended up getting something else, but we'll have to see when I check back on his board. Anyway, I've been on a nice win streak here. I'm on a 4-match win streak. Unfortunately, now I have spotted that this player is also running Shurima, and it turns out that I'm being contested in this lobby. There's actually 3 of us that are running Shurima, which, by the way, the trait definitely is not so strong that 3 people should be contesting it in a 4-team lobby. It's definitely not that good. Unfortunately, this person also has actually managed to make a Shurima emblem, so that's not great either. This person actually has a really strong choke out over there. They have a Cho with a Shurima emblem and a Warmogs, which is pretty darn good. But fortunately for me, the rest of their team is actually kind of garbage. They have items sitting on their bench that are not doing anything. So if they just properly itemized their team, they 100% would have beaten me, but they did not. So I was happy to take the win there, carry my win streak through into the minion round. It's also a very tight game here. If you look, a lot of the time these double-up games, one team just like races way far out ahead, or there's one team that's like not even competitive and just gets destroyed. But no, this game is not like that. Everybody is very closely bunched in terms of health here, and it ended up being a very tight game in terms of how this one played out. In terms of the Shurima emblem, I've been talking about this a couple different times. The formula is a spatula plus rod. So as I said, it is makeable. I actually just looked this up myself because I couldn't remember what the formula was. At the beginning of the set, it's always hard to remember what the spatula recipes are. But it is a rod plus having a spatula. I did get a free shop refresh here because I was able to make a 2-star unit. So there's that. And I was able to go ahead and toss in Lysandra. By the way, I'm going to use a send in order to send an Aurelia over to Grillo. But this is where we run afoul of the rules of the new way that the sends work in double up mode, which is we didn't do this until 4-1. And that means it's going to take 7 whole rounds until we get this thing back again. I could have done the same thing on the previous round on 3-7, and we would have gotten it back in 5 rounds. So that actually would turn out to be a pretty big mistake, because I just used to send on a 1-cost unit, 1-cost 1-star unit, because Grillo, I think, was up to 7 Aurelias, and by sending him 1, he was going to be 1 off. But now we're going to have that send missing for a very long time. So we really probably should have done that either sooner or just wait for me to hit the 2-star Aurelia. But yeah, we kind of mismanaged this, but that was our unfamiliarity with how the whole thing worked. All right, anyway, this round is super close. Can I manage to win this one and keep the win streak going? Yes. Yes, we can. The problem is, though, I'm not going to be able to keep winning for much longer because I really need a Zir here, and I don't have a Zir. So for my last augment choice, once again, the Vlad augment is working again for this last one. Ascension is not a bad call here because my team is more tanky than damage heavy. But I was also interested here by the option to take a Bruiser Crest. Bruiser Crest felt pretty good here. That would allow me to play 4 Bruisers in the end game. And remember, Shurima's healing does scale with max HP. So I was like, oh, you know what? Well, maybe we just play 4 Bruisers here. That is not something that Shurima would typically play into. Normally you would, I don't think you would normally go beyond 2 Bruiser. But yeah, going into 4 with the Bruiser Crest, it's certainly possible to do that. I was also able to find a Nasus here. And so we'll just look to play the 4 Bruisers. I am at a very awkward 4 Shurima here, though. Nasus makes for a very good Bruiser, by the way. That's not one of his innate traits because he's Shurima plus Juggernaut. But he does make for a very good Bruiser. He's probably one of the best users of this this emblem in the game overall, just due to the way his kit works. So yeah, if I can 2-star him and I can get his, I can 2-star him and get that extra Bruiser in play, we'll be looking pretty solid. That round was not so solid though. I kind of got run over pretty heavily there. And that's just because my damage is falling off pretty hard. I still have my Azir items on a Talia, and 2-cost Talia, 2-star Talia is just not really going to cut it at this stage of the game. It's also taking quite a while for Grillo to get his board to come together, and that's a bit unfortunate for us as well. So I was leveling to 7 or leveling to 8 here. I think that may have been a mistake. I think it might have been better to roll more heavily on 7 here because I actually have, well, I mean, some portion of my board is upgraded, but by the same token, I do also need to find a number of things. But my thinking was, hey, I'm at a really awkward place in terms of traits. I'm 4 Shurima, not 5. I'm 3 Bruiser, not 4. I really want to try to get up to level 8 where I think I can play 5 Shurima, 4 Bruiser. And I think that would make my setup better. The obvious unit to remove is Vel'Koz because Vel'Koz doesn't really fit my team composition. He's multicaster and sorcerer and void, none of which I really need. He's just really in there because I need that multicaster as long as Talia is like my carry. But as soon as I find a Azir, I can dump him, and then that'll free up a slot. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm hoping to do here. Hoping to get to 8 and find an Azir. Unfortunately, though, yeah, you can see it's not going that well. Granted, I actually think I would have won that 1v1 against that other player, but then their partner came in, and that is the win streak in comp. But still, it's not looking great here. Let's be honest. We're taking some real damage here, and we are starting to get somewhat low. I guess the one advantage is we do get increased carousel priority. And there's also something that I can take here that's pretty good. I can look to take another item for potential Azir, or I could just look to take that Cassante. That's also another option. But in any case, I end up taking the item. The Cassante gets grabbed by one of the other players, one of the 2 other people who's playing Shurima in this lobby. And that's going to allow me to get a Static Shiv in place, which is a good item on Azir, one of his better items. People like Static Shiv, they like Gunblade, they like Rageblade, they like, what else is good on him? People like Jeweled Gauntlet is, of course, good. Archangel Staff is good on him because he scales over time. All right, so again, we're rolling here. By the way, more Renekton's. Maybe could have gone for Renekton 3-star. I did get the 1 free reroll, but like, where is Azir? I really need Azir. Of course, the problem is other people are playing Azir. And then I find Cassante. I was like, okay, well, Cassante's good. Don't get me wrong. That gets me to 5 Shurima. But I really kind of wanted Azir. There's also a Sejuani in the shop, which I believe that I remember. is there. Yeah, but so I do manage to get up to 5 Shurima, and that actually is quite a big boost because now it means that all of my Shurima units will ascend. Prior to that, it was just I believe it was just the Talia that was ascending. In these fights, keep an eye on the clock. When we hit 8 seconds into the fight, so that's when 22 seconds is remaining on the clock, all of my Shurima units are going to ascend, and they'll get extra attack speed, and they'll get extra max HP. So that's a pretty big deal. We're actually up against one of the other Shurima boards right now. They actually do have a Azir, but I'm actually able to win anyway because my board is better built, and having Cassante in there is pretty nice as well. But I still do need to find an Azir, either that or have Grillo find one for me. But yeah, anyway, I'm able to now find some Kallistas, so I'm going to try to get him Kallista. He's going to be looking to find more of that unit as well, and he's really looking to shoot for 3-star Kallista on his challenger board. So I'm going to go ahead. I've got 2 Kallistas in my store. Maybe by the time I get the champion send back, we'll be able to have 2-star Kallistas to send over him. So I believe between the two of us, we have 5 of the Kallistas. Unfortunately, due to some bad luck in terms of finding these units and some mistakes on our part in terms of understanding how the sends work here in set 9, we have not done a great job of putting his board together. He still, I believe, doesn't have any 3-star units yet. Grillo's been sitting at 8 out of 9 Aurelias for some time now, and really he needs to find that unit first because Aurelia is serving as frontline for his board. Anyway, yeah, getting up to 5 Shurima definitely made a difference. You can see as soon as I hit that, my board suddenly got way better, and we've kind of been tearing through some of these comps. Unfortunately, there's a lot of Azirs out of that pool. That person has a 2-star Azir, so I managed to beat his board with 2-star Azir with me having 0-star Azir on my end. I have no Azirs at all, but I still was able to beat his board. So that's kind of a good sign, right? I think it means that I'm doing a reasonably good job of building the board, even though I haven't been able to find the champions just yet. Anyway, yeah. But Grillo does have an Azir on his bench, so by the time he gets his send back, he will be able to send that over to me if I'm not able to find on my own. I also really want to get another Bruiser on the board too, so I can get up to 4 Bruisers. It's worth quite a bit of additional health. If I can find one more Bruiser. That was the whole reason I took the Bruiser emblem. Bruiser 2 is 10% additional health for Bruisers, but Bruiser 4 is 35% additional health for Bruisers, so would definitely be nice if I could find that. Anyway, there's a 2-star Callista, so now I get the free reroll. There's also Jarvan. I would love to get Jarvan on the board somehow because Jarvan gives me the strategist trait. And there's an Azir finally. But it turns out that I'm not going to be able to play Jarvan in this game. I do pick up some Jarvans, but I end up not being able to play him because there's no way I can play 4 Bruisers and also play Jarvan. Oh, did I manage to get Jarvan in here? But no, there it is, yeah. I can't play Jarvan and play 4 Bruisers. I've got to pick one or the other. And so I ultimately choose that I'm going to look to play the 4 Bruisers instead, because otherwise what was the point of taking that emblem? So eventually I will end up having to sell the Jarvan, even though I would very much like to get him in here somehow, but it's just not really a possibility here. All right, anyway, so I was able to get Azir. I ended up getting 2 more bows there, so I'm going to end up making Rapid Fire Cannon on him. This is not my choice of item. I would definitely prefer something else. RFC is one of the worst items in this set. It's not a popular item. It still gives the ability, it still makes it so you... units that can dodge attacks, it's like one of the properties of RFC is units can't dodge your attacks, but they actually took dodge chance out of the game some time ago, so it doesn't even really do one of the things that it's supposed to do, and it's just not a strong item. But I didn't really have any other choice. I would have happily made like Giant Slayer over that or something else, but like I could have made Last Whisper, and I didn't want to do that, so it's kind of the RFC or nothing. And then I made the Shield Breaker for Nasus. By the way, Nasus has pretty good items. If I can 2-star Nasus with Bruiser plus Bloodthirster plus Shield Breaker, he should be pretty darn effective right now. This was another gift round, and Grillo sent me a Randuin's Omen. It was an Ornn item, and I ended up getting a Randuin's, which is not really a good fit because it kind of doesn't synergize with this trait that I have. And by the way, I'm going to send the Callista over to Grillo. It doesn't really synergize very well with this augment I have where everybody has to be on like the same vertical or horizontal row. So it really doesn't fit very well for that. But yeah, it is what it is. I've got to make use of the Randuins as best I can. So I've just tossed it on Rek'Sai, and I'm going to try to have my front line get the additional tank stats from standing next to Rek'Sai and then also standing next to each other in a horizontal row. There's also a Scion in my store. I definitely want to pick that up. So we're going to try to get that. But I need to finish up this round, and oof, I'm going to end up losing this one. And yeah, our health's getting pretty low here. And I sell the Jarvan and just barely pick up the Scion at the last second. So now it's my turn to send something to Grillo, and it's like, oh, I don't have any money. I have no money to send to him, so there's not a lot I can do here other than send the remover. I guess I could sell something on my bench, but I really don't want to sell any of these other units here. I'm at 2 out of 3 Nasus, 2 out of 3 Sejuanis. And by the way, Grillo's going to use his send to give me one more Azir. So I do manage to get the Azir 2-star, thank goodness. But I was not able to send him one of those items. I definitely could not afford the Tactician's Crown, which is 30 gold. So yeah, did not have that kind of money. I'm still trying to find the Nasus and the Sedge 2-star. Those are the things I most want right now. But yeah, with Scion in there, I've got the top Bruiser. And I'm going to shift my units down a little bit here so that I can give the armor and MR to my backline as well when they stand next to Scion. There we go, although I'm not giving it to Azir, who I probably should. So my board is starting to look a little bit better. Having 2-star Azir is definitely going to help here. If I can get 2-star Nasus, that would give me another kind of threat in this composition. But I should probably talk about what these units do, because again, it's very early in the set. Let me go ahead and read the descriptions of these units. First, Azir. So Azir's passive is every third attack from Azir, Sand Soldier deals 105 magic damage to their target. His active ability is summon a Sand Soldier to attack your target. If Azir already has 3 soldiers, they all immediately deal magic damage instead. If you've played normal League of Legends, you're probably familiar with what Azir does. He summons the Sand Soldiers, and yeah, they deal damage to nearby targets. So Azir's attack speed plus AP. Those are the traits he wants. He wants attack speed and he wants ability power. Pretty straightforward. Here on this carousel, there was a Scion with a Zerat portal, so I was like, great, that gets me 2 out of 3 Scions. Now if we can find one more Scion in the store, it's Scion 2-star, and a Zerat portal is not that bad of an item. I was also able to send a Callista over to Grillo a couple rounds ago, so he's been able to make the 3-star Callista. So he has 3-star Aurelia, 3-star Callista, and he has one other 3-star as well. He is not playing a Yordle's board, so he doesn't get anything from having extra 3-stars in there aside from just the 3-star units themselves. Anyway, I rolled about 20 gold there. I did not find any of the things I was looking for. No Nasus, no Sejuani, no Scion. The Scion I didn't really expect to hit, but it would have been nice to hit Sejuani or Nasus. Problem for Nasus is that Nasus is pretty contested in this lobby because, as already mentioned, there are 3 of us who are playing Shurima, including this person right here. Oh, wait, no, this person's not playing. They have 2 Nasus on the... Oh, their teammate is playing. Teammate must be playing Shurima because they have Nasus on the bench for them. Okay. Well, we are actually all the way down to 2 HP, so this is not looking too good in this lobby right now. I actually think that our comps are starting to come together. It just took us a long time to piece our comps together in this match. It took us longer than we normally would. Grillo's board in particular was pretty underpowered for a long time, but now that he has the 3-star Callista on his challenger board, he's starting to get a lot stronger right now. And in fact, you noticed he won his round pretty quickly. And that was a close round, but we managed to win that one. The Zeri on their team did 16,000 damage, but we did manage to win that one. And there we go. There's the Sejuani. And then I get a free reroll because it's of my silver augment. So, hey, at least I've got 2-star Sedge anchoring my front line. All right, the other unit I wanted to cover was Nasus. Nasus, as mentioned, is kind of my other carry at the moment. His traits are Shurima and Juggernaut. Ability is called Soul Eater. Steal max health, 10% attack damage and defenses from the nearest enemy for 8 seconds. While empowered, every third attack deals physical damage. So he steals max health, steals defense from actually quite a few targets. He steals it from 4 targets, goes up to 5 when he gets 2-starred. And he empowers his attacks to deal additional physical damage. He is basically tanky plus AD. So Bloodthirst are good on him. Titan's Resolve, good on him. Those kind of items are pretty good. The Shield Breaker is not amazing, but I don't think it's a terrible item by any means. It'll serve reasonably well. It'll help him take down tanky targets. Now, this fight is pretty close here, but Azir is still alive. I'm going up again. Is this the other Azir player? One of them? Yeah, against another Azir player, but I'm able to win that one. And we knocked that person down to 1 HP. And yeah, this lobby got a lot closer in a real hurry. We're on 2 HP, but there's 2 other teams on 1 HP. So 2-2, 1-1, 1-1, and then there's the team with 22 HP, one of whom's on a win streak. Yeah, but Grillo's looking a lot stronger now. He has a 2-star Gwen. He has his other 3-star is Zed. I should have mentioned that. He's got Zed as another 3-star unit over there. So his board has definitely gotten stronger. He's probably the strongest one in the lobby right now. I will get a lot stronger if I can 2-star Nasus and if I can 2-star the Scion. We also are not that far away from 3-starring Action as well. I have not really been playing through Action. He has no items on him right now, but we're reasonably close to 3-starring that unit as well because Grillo has a 2-star Action on his bench, and I have 2 of them sitting here. So if I can find one more Action and then Grillo gets his send back again, then we can 3-star that unit as well. I was like, all right, there we go. Finally, I finally hit Nasus with my very last roll there. So thank goodness for that. Maybe should have just waited until one of those other teams got knocked out, to be honest, because if the other team, one of those teams that's playing Shurima, if they got knocked out, their Nasuses would go back into the pool. So arguably should have waited, but then again, we are on 2 HP, so probably don't want to wait too long. All right, this person is one of the other Shurima players. They have a 2-star Azir. They're running 7 Shurima, which, as I mentioned, is actually a pretty big spike over 5 Shurima. Yeah, the rest of their team is not itemized particularly well. Their Azir looks reasonably decent, but aside from the Azir, they don't really have much of anything. There's really no other threat in terms of damage on their team other than the Azir. So yeah, it takes us a long time to kill the Cho, but once we get past the Cho, that's pretty much it. And as I said, they really had no other damage dealers on your team. You kind of do want at least one other source of damage. Oh, and by the way, there is the Action. So when Grillo gets his send back, we have 3-star Action. It's just however many rounds it takes for him to find that again. At the moment, he doesn't really need all that much. By the way, he's going to randomly play a 2-star Lux, even though Lux doesn't fit his comp at all just because he randomed his way into 2-star Lux. He finds something better than that eventually. I also probably should have picked up this Aatrox for him because I think Aatrox would have been a better fit than that Lux at least. I know he's running some units that I think could... oh, he's running at least some Slayer units, so Aatrox definitely would have been a better fit. I should have known... Well, again, it's super early in the set. Again, this is the very first day of the set. You can't expect us to know all of the best combinations there, but I definitely should have picked up this Aatrox and held that for him because it would have been a way better fit than that Lux that doesn't fit his board at all. Okay, well, anyway, now it is a duel. It's us against this one other team, and this person has a 3-star Shen on their board. Yeah, Shen is a 4-cost unit in this set. So that's a 3-star 4-cost unit. What does Shen do? Well, it turns out he's just like incredibly tanky. He gets like this absolutely massive shield, but geez, look at how close this fight is. Oh my god, that Shen is tanking forever. And oh, finally he goes down. Man, that was close. Grillo had already won his round, and his Kaisa came over. Otherwise, I think I lose that round. So let me go ahead and read the description for Shen, just because we're up against this 4-star Shen player that we've got over here. Shen's ability is Key Barrier. He grants a shield. He gains a shield himself, grants a shield to the 2 lowest health allies for 4 seconds. Then after shielding his ally, Shen's shield refreshes with a burst, deals magic damage to nearby enemies, somewhat reminiscent of Echo from the previous set in set 8. His self-shield is a 2,000% self-shield at 3 stars, so he just gets this absolutely massive shield, and then he hits nearby enemies when the shield pops. This is the other player, by the way. This is the non-Shen player. This person's playing a reroll multicaster team. They have a 3-star Teemo over there. So they've got the Teemo mushrooms and the Sona ults that are hitting my backline. And that's a bit of an issue for me because while my front line is tanky, my backline is kind of not. And this person's backline access just kind of cut right through me. So we end up losing that round, and we go from 2 health down to 1 health. It's a good thing we still had that last life left, but we cannot afford to lose any more rounds now. If we lose another round, we're out. And to add insult to injury, we don't even get first pick on this carousel. The other team, which is also on 1 health, gets first pick on the carousel. I was going to take the Senna, but that other person took it first. The spatula would have been great earlier in the game, but it's too late in the game to make a Shurima spat now. So I'm just going to go ahead and take the belt and use it to put a Warmogs on Sedge, who is now going to be much tankier with that. Now I find another Cassante in the store. That's kind of nice. And there we go. I'm actually going to get the Action Send from Grillo, and that's going to allow me to make Action 2-star, or 3-star, excuse me. So earlier I grabbed a Giant's Slayer from him because I knew there were a number of 3-star units on the enemy team's board. But that's definitely going to help having the 3-star Action. The problem is we cannot lose another round. If we lose another round, we're out of the lobby. So we have to win every round from here on out or else we lose the match. So no pressure or anything, but we definitely have to win this. All right, now I have the 3-star Shen back again this time. I'm up against this person's playing like straight vertical Ionia. They have 8 Ionia, but oh, look at that action. Now that he's a 3-star and he has the Giant Slayer, his ult just cuts through and kills the 3-star Jhin on the other team. So that's most of the damage on the other team. Once that Jhin is gone, I guess they still have the Aphelios, but and then they did have a 2-star Ahri as well. But yeah, it's going to be enough, even though Shen is continuing to put these absolutely ridiculous shields on the other team. We are going to win that one, and oh, they're not knocked out. We actually had Myth watching this with us, and Myth had pointed out the other team was not going to be eliminated, that even though they were on 1 HP, they still had another life left. This will be the last round of the game, though, because there is 1 health left for both of us. So this is it. So I go ahead and sell my extra Scion to get 2-star Cassante, and it's just whoever's going to win this round. So I'm actually going to go ahead and show you Grillo's perspective for this round. He cut the video footage. He recorded this as well and then sent it to me after this was done. So here's Grillo's perspective in this fight with his challenger board. This is a fight that does not look like it's going well. So watch that Shen. Most of Grillo's board is dying pretty quickly here. Aurelia got Zephyr'd at the start of the fight. So right now it's like, oh man, this is not looking good. Aurelia is about to die. Kallista's the only unit left, but keep an eye on the Shen. Boom! 5,806 crit. Shen goes down. Somehow Kallista wins the fight. So now let's switch back over to my perspective after we saw that Grillo won on his end. So this is my end of the same combat here. So I am up against the multicasting Teemo once again. Teemo's going to walk forward to toss out his mushrooms, but watch the action right here. Somehow action is going to get a cast through, and he's going to hit the Teemo, and where is it? Down goes the Teemo. I have no idea how he managed to get his ult to thread through that tiny little particle. That said, this is still super close. Action goes down. Azir is doing his best to try to finish off the other team, but here comes Grillo with his last units. Oh, this is close, but we're going to manage to win the fight. Somehow Sejuani is still alive. Azir is still alive. We have like 2 units left on that board at the end of that. But wow, what a close last round that was. 1 HP for both teams. But somehow we end up winning that one. We were all in shock watching this, that Grillo ended up winning that round. We have just like, it looked like he was so dead in that round. And then Kallista got all of her spears stacked up, and she did 5,800 damage to Shen through the Shen's shielding and took him down in one go. And then he was able to come over and reinforce me, because if the other team had come over and reinforced, I 100% lose that round. And we get a second instead of a first. So, woo! Anyway, what an exciting game. Hope you enjoyed watching this one. So until next time, thanks again, folks. Take care.